Hey everyone, it's Tom here from Ludicrous Feed. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I just want to go through the Australian Government's National Electric Vehicle Strategy, increasing the uptake of EVs to reduce our emissions and improve the well-being of Australians. This document was released literally 5 days ago, 19th of April 2023, so very fresh. It's a long document, but I'll just point out some of the important points out to you if you're watching this. So, acknowledgement of country. And table of contents. Let's go through, first of all, a picture of a Hyundai Kona EV. Let's go through the Minister's foreword here. We are pleased to present Australia's first ever National Electric Vehicle Strategy. It's been a long time coming. Australian consumers have spoken. They want access to electric vehicles, but this appetite to get more EVs on the road has been constrained by supply, by a lack of national policy to encourage suppliers to send more vehicles to Australia. This strategy makes a turning point, a national agreed framework to get more EVs on the road and give Australians access to the benefits which come with them. Cheaper to run and better for the climate. This is a significant milestone on Australia's pathway to net zero. With transport on track to be Australia's largest emitting sector by the end of the decade, this strategy is an important step to achieve our emissions reduction goals. It sends a clear message to the boardrooms of vehicle suppliers around the world. Australia wants your EVs. With demand surging and new EV models selling out in minutes, consumers are voting with their feet and our market is ready to respond if we have policy settings that enable greater supply of affordable vehicles. At the centre of the strategy is our new commitment to introduce Australia's first vehicle fuel efficiency standard to make us competitive with other parts of the world for EV supply. Car companies, motoring clubs, climate groups, businesses, unions and the community have made this call loud and clear. I'm glad the government is finally recognising this. We've been saying this for a long time in the EV community in Australia. Introducing a fuel efficiency standard will encourage car manufacturers to supply more EVs to Australia, improving consumer choice and making it easier and cheaper to access popular EVs. It will also help make, over time, all vehicles on the road more efficient, with new petrol and diesel cars likely to use less fuel, saving Australians money. Australia has been next to Russia as one of the only advanced economies without a fuel efficiency standard. It's time we took that step, because if we don't act, Australians will continue to miss out and pay more at the bowser. On average, new cars in Australia use 40% more fuel than the European Union, 20% more than the United States, and 15% more than New Zealand. The strategy will also support the integration of EVs into work and homes, including initiatives to support battery recycling, infrastructure planning, apartment building design, and rolling out world-leading training for emergency services workers. The framework guides governments who will continue to work together to provide the systems and infrastructure needed to support this early-stage transition. Critically, this transition will bring new skills and employment opportunities for Australians, including green jobs in manufacturing and other sectors that support the energy transformation. This strategy builds on the progress we've already made in supporting EV uptake. The electric car discount legislation is already making EVs cheaper, and the Driving the Nation Fund is supporting transformational infrastructure, including Australia's first national electric vehicle charging network to roll out chargers on average every 150 kilometres on our major highways. It's vital that we get moving and make our direction of travel clear, and this is what the National Electric Vehicle Strategy does. We look forward to continuing this work with all governments, industry experts, and the community to secure the benefits of EVs for all Australians. And this was by the Honourable Chris Brown, MP, Minister for Climate Change and Energy, and the Honourable Catherine King, MP, Minister for Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development and Local Government. Alright, so this is a nice summary slide here. So Australia's first EV strategy at a glance. So the vision is to increase the uptake of EVs to reduce our emissions and improve the well-being of Australians. So the objectives are to increase the supply of affordable and accessible EVs. So new initiatives will include developing Australia's first fuel efficiency standard for new light vehicles and preparing for a recycling, reuse and stewardship initiative for EV and other large format batteries. So then they include other existing initiatives from, for example, state and territory fleet targets, citing examples from Queensland, for example, net zero Australian public service by 2030, Australian-made electric battery plant, National Reconstruction Fund, critical mineral strategy. Next objective is systems and infrastructure to establish the resources, systems and infrastructure to enable rapid EV uptake. I'm more interested in this green dots here, so developing a national mapping tool to support optimal investment in and deployment of EV charging infrastructure, Tools and guidance to enable EV uptake for residents of existing multi-residential building. That's good, so existing. Funding to support world-leading EV guidance demonstrations and training for emergency service workers. I mean, there is a lot of talk about battery fires, of course, so it's good to see that they're addressing that. And then existing initiatives include already a national network of EV chargers in partnership with the NRMA, state and territory EV infrastructure and charging investments. For example, the WA government's $22.9 million investment to install charging locations, $500 million Driving the Nation Fund, skills program, and to ready the grid for EV uptake. That's already happening. And then to encourage increase in EV demand, they're citing things already, such as the electric car discount released late last year, state and territory initiatives, and green car loans as well. So the outcomes, they're hoping to expand EV availability and choice, reduce road transport emissions, make it easier to charge an EV across Australia, increase local manufacturing and recycling, make EVs more affordable, and reduce the cost to Australians of running their vehicles. So they're collaborating on national standards, remote and regional EV charging infrastructure, EV affordability, data sharing, fleet procurement, education and awareness, and underpinned by collaboration with state and territories, clear indicators to measure progress against outcomes, ongoing industry union and community engagement. Yay, this is a bit I'm interested in, community engagement. Annual updates with a comprehensive review in 2026, so that's 3 years' time. Public and private sector research and investment, and international learnings and partnerships. Yay, we're talking to the rest of the world now. Fantastic. Okay, so summary. Part of the Australian government's Powering Australia plan to improve affordability, create jobs and reduce emissions. Provides a nationally consistent framework to get Australia's road transport sector on a pathway to net zero. Okay, so we're finally doing something about it. That's good. So the strategy focuses specifically on light passenger and light commercial vehicles as they are the major source of road transport emissions, and seeks to accelerate transition from petrol and diesel-powered internal combustion engine vehicles to EVs, recognizing that the technology to do this is available now. So they're taking a national strategic leadership approach. So that's good. Your key feedback from stakeholders was that a national Australian fuel efficiency standard is critical to achieving the necessary greenhouse gas emissions reduction from light vehicles. So that was the number one thing that they listened to and are going to take action on. Overseas and fuel efficiency standard requirements are a strong driver for supply of fuel-efficient vehicles. Also allows, brought into the Australian market are affordable and offer better consumer choice. Fuel efficiency standard also allows suppliers to choose the most appropriate mix of vehicle technologies to meet their fleet average target and consumer needs. And a fuel efficiency standard will continue to allow a range of vehicles to be sold in the Australian market. It's good. Well-designed standard will help reduce fuel costs. Increase supply. Over 85% of the global car market has a fuel efficiency standard, putting other countries well ahead of Australia in the queue for efficient vehicles. Government will work in consultation with stakeholders on the design of a fuel efficiency standard. Okay, and says here transport makes up for 19% of Australia's emissions. Passenger car and light commercial vehicles alone contribute 60% of our transport emissions and over 10% of Australia's total emissions. Transport projected to be the largest source of emissions by 2030. EVs powered by abundant renewable energy will contribute to achieving our economy-wide emissions reduction target of 43% below 2005 levels by 2030, net zero by 2050. It's still a long time away. Yes, we have the capability. We have the resources. We just need to do it. So reducing transport emissions is essential. As a result, global momentum for the transition to EVs is building. Global EV sales account for 9% of the global market in 2021, 15% in the UK, 17% in the EU, and 4.5% in the US. So we are lagging behind, but hopefully catching up soon. Okay, so we currently lag behind. EV sales account for 3.8%. I think that's rising, though, to be fair. In the first few months of 2023, it has risen, though, so this is a little bit out of date now for 2022. Australians are ready to make the switch. Yep, we sure are. I think the conversations are certainly starting to happen. And so they've garnered more than 500 submissions, representing 200 organizations and over 1,500 individuals. That's good to see. So feedback from the consultation makes it clear that improved choice, cost, availability, and charging and accessibility are all fundamental for a successful transition. Okay, we must act now. Yes, heard that a few times. Yep, so one thing about being slow is that we do learn from overseas to help Australia become a globally competitive market, better access to more affordable EVs, targeted infrastructure to enable EV use across the nation, and new industries and jobs along the EV supply chain. Identifies wide-ranging social, economic, business, health, and environmental benefits the switch will have for Australia, better air, new jobs, and reductions in the cost of living over time. So, yeah, I mean, the language is right. At least it's positive now. Okay, so again, more extrapolation of that vision from the top there we saw earlier. Yep, increased supply, established infrastructure and systems to enable rapid EV uptake, encourage increase in demand. These are the outcomes they've sort of mentioned already. It's kind of doubling up, isn't it? Yep, provides a framework. So more talk about the framework to do this, and in collaboration with Commonwealth, states and territories as part of a greater plan. So, yep, the policy is in place at least. Okay, so they want to create a national standards. I've heard this already again. So national standards, accessibility standards for people. So very similar to accessibility standards for people like living with disability. So they're using previous models. That's great. Government is consulting to consider the case for mandatory acoustic vehicle alerting systems for light electric vehicles in Australia to reduce potential pedestrian collisions. That's fair. Adopting international standards could set minimum sound requirements for EVs. Yep, helping those who are blind or low vision to travel with relative safety, independence when crossing roads and footpaths. I guess EVs are quieter. Data sharing. So, yep, sharing to help understand where EVs are charging and being driven. That's good. Data is certainly key in this day and age. EV affordability. Yep, encouraging initiatives to reduce costs, increase affordability. Remote and regional EV charging infrastructure. That's important for a country this big. So rolling out EV charging across regional Australia to achieve a comprehensive charging network. Also for city folk who take road trips, we need these chargers out in the country and regional areas. So include strategic planning to avoid crowding out private investment while complementing existing transport infrastructure and complementary work to ensure grid capability to support the network. Yep. So fleet procurement, collaborating with New Zealand and states and territories to aggregate government fleet vehicle purchasing. Buses, very important. Yep, fleet is important. Promoting also the rapid development of a second-hand EV market, make it more affordable for most. Education and awareness, this is what I'm interested in as well, to help people realize the benefits and realities of driving an EV in Australia. I guess that's what we've been doing on this channel for the last few years, showing people that can be done. Help Australian household and businesses to make informed purchasing decisions. Yes, reap the benefits. So the more you look into it, the more it does make sense. Strategy includes new initiatives. Okay, building on work underway, collaboration. Yep, preparing for recycling, reuse, stewardship, and initiative for EV and other large format batteries. Delivering world-leading EV guidance demonstrations, training for emergency services. Yeah, we've been through that already. And they'll be helping to develop tools and guidance for this to happen to increase uptake for residents of existing multi-residential buildings, so apartments. That's good. So existing, that's a key word. Retrofitting. What else? Optimize EV infrastructure, supporting co-planning of charging with energy system investments. And these initiatives will inform future government decisions and will be reported on through annual strategy updates and through a major review of the strategy in 2026. So I guess no huge leap at this point. I guess they're starting the process, and then hopefully 3 years' time we'll have a major review. Okay, so what have we got here? Yes, we've kind of been through this already, right? So I guess they're now just expanding it some more. Let me just see if there's any more key things I can point out to you as opposed to just rehashing the same thing. Okay, so here we go. So global momentum is driving change. So this is a bit of a state of play compared to the rest of the world. 9% of global car sales is electric at the moment. 3.8 in Australia. Like I said, it's a bit out of date. It is gaining more momentum in 2023. 15% of car sales in the UK. 17% of the car sales in European Union are EVs. In Australia in 2022, 3.8% were EVs in 2022. 86% increase from 2021. That's encouraging. 70 different models, EV models, which include 38 BEVs. This is kind of what I'm interested in. 32 BHEVs. I guess the rest were maybe fuel cell. 2,390 public EV charging sites, and 83,000 cars are now on the road. Okay, so I guess the rest really, let me see if there's anything new. I can just point out to you. Okay, Australia's transport emissions trend, actual and trend. Yep, so it's going up in emissions, and obviously COVID just dropped that a bit. Let me just go back up here a little bit. Global EV use is increasing. Look at that. 2012, 120,000 was sold annually, and now in 2 years ago, 2021, 120,000 sold each week. So certainly increasing. That's global. Yep, we know that we're behind. Gone through some of those stats already. So EVs and other new vehicle technologies give us a significant opportunity to bring down emissions. Light vehicles have a lifetime of 15 to 20 years, so fleet turnover can take decades to achieve. Yes, so we need to start now. We have the resources, we have the skills, we have the capital. Yes, we can do it. We really can. Light passenger commercial vehicles made up 62% in 2019 of Australia's transport emissions, 60% in 2022. Emissions are projected to reduce by only 6 megatons by 2035 compared to 2019 levels if we continue the same types of transport. At least they're finally making light of that issue. Yes, we must replace ICE vehicles with EVs. Okay. More pretty pictures. Alright, so why drive an EV? Let me just see if there's anything interesting I can point out to you. Some fuel costs. They're saying that on average, petrol car consumes 10 litres per 100 Ks. That's quite a fuel inefficient vehicle. Costs $2,400 a year to refuel. Average EV consumes around $400 worth of electricity per year. I can vouch for that. It is a lot cheaper to run, especially if you charge at home. EVs are much more efficient, converting over 77% of the electrical energy from the grid to power at the wheels. Far more efficient than hydrogen and certainly petrol, of course, petrol diesel. Here we go. ICE vehicles only convert around a quarter of the energy from liquid fuels such as petrol or diesel. Lower maintenance costs, only a few hundred parts in an EV compared to 2,000 plus. I've been hearing this kind of thing for years. I'm glad it's finally making its way into a government document. EVs can also provide energy storage, so they're talking about bidirectional charging there. Vehicle to home, vehicle to grid. And EVs, can discharge energy, of course, back to the grid. Yep. So there we go. $2,400 per year in petrol compared to $400 worth of electricity per year. They are certainly a lot cheaper. I can vouch for that. So more flexibility to see where the energy comes from, control their bills, less reliance on fossil fuels. 1/3 of Australian homes already have rooftop solar PV, which is great. Can be used to power EVs for sure if you charge at home. Health and benefits, yes, health and safety benefits, wide-ranging health and environmental benefits, reduction in nitrogen oxide and particulates, better air quality, reduce asthma-related emergency rooms. That's quite a recent paper. Long-term exposure to air pollution from ICE vehicles has a negative human health effects. Air pollution is estimated to have caused as many as 1,715 deaths in Australia in 2015, 42% more than the road toll that year. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't mind breathing cleaner air in my area. 11,105 premature deaths in Australian adults each year. Also quite a recent paper there. Air pollution linked to respiratory disease, cancer and dementia. Yep, again, fairly recent papers. Linked to social equity, as the poorest in society tend to be exposed to high levels of pollution. I certainly don't want to be breathing filthy air. Exposure to pollutants in particularly harmful to children, elderly people, pregnant people, and people with pre-existing health conditions. Yep, all makes a lot of sense. At least it's now being published, which is good. Zero tailpipe emissions. Switch to EVs can deliver health benefits from reduced noise pollution as well. Well, evidence, here we go, fire. Well, evidence suggests EVs are less likely to catch fire than ICE vehicles. This does not mean we can ignore the potential for EV battery electric shocks or fire-related incidents. New risks and challenges for emergency responders, tradies, and technicians. So yes, I'm glad they're addressing that as well. There is that thermal runaway concern where battery fires can go on for hours. So I'm glad they're taking charge to train people who can take care of that, even though EVs are less likely to catch fire. Okay, ACCC is scoping product safety issues and potential hazard prevention strategies in relation to lithium-ion batteries. Okay, good. So manufacturing as well, good. Transition to present opportunity to develop new jobs and skills. Yep. Certainly we have the opportunity to do that. Yep, there's demand for minerals to use in EVs and battery storage can grow by 30 times in 2040. Yep. Lithium, copper, nickel, magnesium. We have a lot of those minerals, that's for sure. Australia is the world's largest producer of lithium. There you go. Contributing over half of global mine production in 2021. That's huge. And the value of our lithium is forecast to increase more than 10 times over 2 years. Certainly the next mining boom will be in lithium, you would think. Yep, lots of jobs there. 34,000 jobs by 2030. It's great. Great to see quotes as well from local manufacturers like Savic Motorcycles and C Electric. That's great. More pictures. All right, technology. Yep, strong demand, perceive. So the cost is high. Running costs to be a key barrier to greater EV uptake, all right? So government has a role to play in reducing the cost of driving and EV, encouraging Australians to switch to EVs. Well, EVs are currently more expensive to buy than ICE. The average upfront cost is falling as new mid-range EVs become available in Australia. And quoting this core, of course, the new electric vehicle discount through FBT exemption, removal of import tariffs. We've gone through the savings as well with costs, fuel costs compared to electricity. Let's look at this graphic here. Evolution of average driving range for battery electric vehicles. So yes, you see how much more range they've got now these days. It's increased by 50% since 2016. That's, I can vouch for that too. Our 2015 Tesla Model S is certainly far more efficient than our Model Y is now in 2023. So EVs today have a driving range of around 300 to 450 kilometers, with some models can drive up to 550 on a single charge. Most EVs can already meet the needs of the average Australian who drives about 38 kilometers per day, so around 12,000 kilometers a year. It's a good number to quote there. I'll keep that in mind. Yep, vast majority, 80% of EV charging takes place at home. Investment in public charging has increased over the last 4 years. Yep, lots more sites coming up. NRMAs to install a backbone of chargers. I think that's a good distance there, 150 kilometers. That's what I would be looking at for the distance between each EV charging site when you're driving. Okay, what else can we see here? Charging time, residential chargers can fully charge an EV in about 6 to 12 hours. Public fast to ultra-fast direct DC chargers can charge an EV within 15 minutes to an hour. 15 minutes is probably a bit... Well, that's not true. I mean, the EGMP platform cars can go 20 to 80% in about 17 to 18 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, 15 is probably unusual. I would say the average is about 20 to 30 minutes for a top up to 80%. Private sector charging infrastructure. Yep. So, for example, Ampol is putting chargers in their petrol stations. Yep. This is the contribution to the feedback for this paper, spread across the states and territories. Most from the private sector. There you go. Okay. So here we go. So feedback for this paper, September 2022, they released a consultation paper inviting views to shape the strategy. So number 1, fuel efficiency standard, strong support for that. Number 2, charging infrastructure. Number 3, emissions reduction. Number 4, supply and demand. Number 5, EV accessibility. Number 6, regulation and government. Number 7, safety and standards. Number 8, alternative transport. Okay, so yeah, again, going through this, let's see what else I can point to. And this goes through all the different states and territory initiatives. This is actually a good reference paper too, if I ever want to know what the different states are doing at this point in time. Each state is doing its own thing, so I'm glad the federal government is finally stepping in to give an overarching strategy as well. So not a single state is not doing anything, which is good. There's something going on. All right. Okay, yep, climate change agenda, what they want to aim towards. So keeping, it's in line with keeping the warming to well between 2 degrees, pursue efforts to keep it to 1.5 degrees by reducing emissions. That's good. Okay, supply, what they're doing, fuel efficiency standards, gone through that already. 85% of the global car market already has fuel efficiency standards, includes all these countries here. Okay, and the absence of a fuel efficiency standard is a reason why Australia has not been cited as a key, has not been, it's a key reason why EV models have not been offered to Australia. Yep, it's quite well documented now. Okay, they'll be doing that. Good. Okay, net zero government initiatives. Working with New Zealand. It's good. Collaboration there. What else? And the different states and territories. Kind of been through that already. It's good. Different targets at different states. More pictures. Critical minerals. Alright, so minerals are already kind of mined here, aren't they? Rare earth materials. 4th largest producer. Largest economic reserve in the world of nickel, world's largest producer of lithium, graphite, cobalt, manganese, bauxite for aluminium. Batteries. Okay, Australian-made battery plan. Lots of plans here. Manufacturing. Yep. All good things. Circular economy. Okay. Battery recycling, reuse, stewardship. Language is good. Okay. Hydrogen highways too. Okay. Hydrogen refueling. Okay, let's see what they were saying about hydrogen. Okay, yep, process on how hydrogen works. They're lighter than batteries, takes less than 5 minutes to refuel. Yep, that's true. More suitable for long distance and commercial vehicle operations such as fleet and heavy vehicle use. Okay. So they are investing in hydrogen as well. First program in New South Wales being delivered is the Hume Hydrogen Highway Initiative by Victoria and New South Wales. Interesting. Okay. EV drivers, a tool for mapping EV charging infrastructure. Probably need that, don't we? It's kind of a hodgepodge at the moment. Different providers. Working with states and territories, great. Okay, National Construction Code for installing EV charging, that's good. Existing, so yeah, retrofitting into existing multi-residential buildings. That's certainly one of the big things at the moment. Big concerns for apartment dwellers. Where do they charge their EVs? Okay, so some building standards there, that'll be good. Okay, well, anything else here? Okay, more about building code. More plans for building charges, different states. Okay, we've been through that. Yep, new jobs, that's what we want. Job creation, that'll make people happy for the transition. Yep. Emergency responders for fire safety, good. Okay, demand. Some models selling out within minutes. Well, to be fair, the supply is very short. And that's because there's no fuel efficiency standards, right? We're talking about the Hyundais and the Kias. They have not many for sale every time they release a few hundred at a time. Several factors tempering demand, including cost, perceived in limited traveling distance of EVs, lack of charging infrastructure, lengthy charging time. Some of that is true, some of that is just misunderstanding of how it works. So glad they're actually going to address that with education. Electric car discount, yes, federal government's doing that. So FBT exemption for cars under the luxury car tax threshold. Maybe get rid of the luxury car tax as well. How about that? That'll help. More pretty pictures. Green car loans, yep, from the different states and territories. Good. Okay, getting to the end here. Supporting the EV transition. Rewiring the nation. All these nice names for these policies, things they want to do. Powering the regions, yep. Fuel excise, here we go. Fuel excise fell in 2021, 22. Increasing EV uptake is expected to slow the growth in fuel excise and result in a decline in the future, at which point EVs make up a sufficient share. Consultation submissions pointed to uncertainty around the application of road user charging on EVs. Okay. Australian government will continue to update and enhance modelling of the long-term impact of increased EV uptake on fuel excise in the context of regular budget updates and the upcoming intergenerational report. Okay, that just is language for we'll talk about it later. But they're keeping an eye on it because, yes, the fuel excise will drop, of course, with more EVs. Okay, so here we go. How we will measure this, what metrics are they using for expanding EV choice? So EV sales, percentage of total sales, number of EV models, and the metrics they're using. Transport emissions is going to be used, the metric will be fleet average emissions, making it easy, so measuring number of fast DC charging stations and chargers, number of public on-street and other destination chargers. Hopefully someone's keeping an eye on all these because there are a lot of private providers out there. Well, I guess this report says they will be doing that. EV recycling collection rates, automotive industry jobs and further actions, okay. Making EVs more affordable. Measuring number of models or variants priced under 60,000, and they'll be looking at average fuel consumption for new light vehicles. Measuring success. Okay, so success will be measured through a range of indicators. Okay, progress will be updated in 2026. Okay, that's fair. More pictures. Okay, so then we get to the appendix, which means that we are pretty much at the end of this report. So let me just see if there's anything else that I missed. Yeah, so this is actually good. This is a detail of all the current strategies for the different states and territories. So if you want to know what your state's doing, I won't go through each one, but this is really quite a good reference for all this. So check this out. I'll leave a link, obviously, to the paper in the video description below. It is long, but hopefully I've pointed out the major points from this paper. Yeah, so I guess the key take-home message really is, let me just scroll back to the beginning so you guys can see. Let's go back to this here. So yeah, so the strategy, 3 main points is to increase the supply of, this paper will help increase the supply of affordable and accessible EVs, establish the resources, systems, and infrastructure to enable rapid EV uptake, and also encourage an increased EV demand. So they're the 3 main goals. And they'll be doing this by measuring outcomes, or to deliver these outcomes, which include expanding EV availability and choice, reducing road transport emissions, making it easy to charge across Australia, increasing the local manufacturing and recycling of batteries, making EVs more affordable, and reducing the cost of running their vehicles to Australians. So, yeah, in collaboration with the different states and territories, and then in consultation with the different sectors and, I guess, stakeholders in this country. So the main point is, yes, they'll be doing something, they've highlighted the issues, and they'll be reviewing it every year. And then there'll be a major review in 2026, which is in 3 years' time. And the number one goal is obviously establishing a fuel efficiency standard for the country. All right, everyone, that's been a long video, but yeah, I think it's important that we go through this to see where the federal government is taking us in terms of direction for EVs in Australia. And certainly we'll be bringing you more updates on this channel if there's anything important to point out in the next, next 3 years, really, until the next major review for this National Electric Vehicle Strategy. Thanks very much, everyone. Until the next Ludicrous Feed video, happy charging.